Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in, right? So I know others are streaming right now, so I don't expect to have too many people listening in right now, but we will work through it anyway. And first, let's shout out Medium Man. Great, great, great job, brother. Great job. Shout out to my military brothers. Great job. And I'm with Medium Man on protecting the image of black men, right? Protecting the image of black men, defending the image of black men. I'm with him on that project. I'm doing my small part on this channel, Mr. Z's channel, um, in that, right? And as as Medium Man has said, it's not really about attacking black women. We love black women, right? But it is about, like, it's not going to be just no black women swinging haymakers because of their feelings, and and insulting black men and belittling black men, and just because they can't exactly have the world the way they want it exactly, right? So that's what we're on right now. All right. So, you know, projection, right? And so what we see, and shout out to Media Man, that was damn near a 4-hour stream, right? 4-hour stream of straight facts and data and statistics that prove black men right. Um, and that black men are on the right side of history, not just right, right? Not just right to say, oh, we're right, but we're on the right side of history. And that's important. And what we see is, for some black women, what they've been doing is just projecting, right? And I think one of the most, at least, glaring examples of that is um, the LGBTQ conversation in the black community. Who's truly the homophobes? Who's truly secretly DL, right? Down low, which means you're secretly same-sex loving, and who's openly same-sex loving? Who's truly the bisexuals, both openly and closeted bisexuals? Who's truly the ones engaging in that behavior? And what you find is it's actually not black men. The real homophobes are truly black women, right? Not all, some banal, right? As Zoe Williams says, the true homophobes are black women. They're the ones who use homophobic slurs against straight black men as an insult, right? And I see the crew tried to cover that, but it got kind of mired and lost in the conversation, what they were trying to emphasize. The young lady that Media Man covered, that called it out, and we've seen it, and every once in a while you'll have LGBTQ black men that say that, but everybody kind of tries to shove it back under the rug that black women use homophobic slurs against straight black men. I want to be very clear. They use it as an insult. They use homophobic slurs against straight black men. And as the young lady was saying that Media Man covered, right? Anything that does not involve them, anything that looks like brotherly love, anything that looks like black men enjoying themselves, devoid of black women being in the space, is seen as some type of LGBTQ behavior and will be called out as such by black women as an insult and as a slur to insult those black men, right? So we need to make sure that we say that's what's going on. That's what these women are engaging in, right? So there's that. I think other examples of that are the conversation about um, income and who's starting businesses and who's earning the money and who's employing other people and viable black businesses in the black community. Shout out to Media Man again for covering the top 20 black businesses that's really making money out here. Out of the top 20, 18 of them are black male owned, right? 18 of them out of the top 20. And it's important that we emphasize that, not to defecate on black women. We have to emphasize this on this video. This is not about defecating on black women, but it is to say that what you can no longer engage in, dear black women, is defecating on black men by omitting the truth or by benign neglect or by implying that black men aren't holding up their weight in the black community. And whenever we do this, what black women are doing and how black women are outpacing black men, it is to snub black men. That the statements aren't said in a vacuum. The statements are made to say black women are doing this great. It's a shame that black men aren't also, right? That's what this is really about. Black women are doing all of black women are queen mother universe, and unfortunately they're stuck with these, you know, juvenile, immature, not carrying their own weight, disloyal, um, abusive, um, air quotes men that are really boys, right? So shout out to Media Man for covering this and for all of the all the information that he brought to the table, and shout out to the people whoever he covered and what they were covering, right? So train tracks, train tracks, train tracks. Even when we cover once again the LGBTQ information, and I think that's very important to emphasize because for some of you younger millennials and for some of you Gen Z, you really don't know how much this DL conversation was so heavy in the black community in the 90s and in the early aughts. You were just a bit too young to actually understand. I was still a child also. But for some of you that were born in the 90s as millennials, you really don't get. The DL conversation was like everywhere, especially after Terry McMillan tried to do something slick and avoid ADOS men by going to Jamaica and find her a young dude that was clearly LGBTQ to the rest of us, right? Clearly LGBTQ to everyone else. And when he finally came out, then black women not wanting to own that they have the wrong pickers decided to say, well, the problem is that black men are just LGBTQ. They're secretly on the DL. Down low once again. When it's, you know, secretly gay. Instead of black women holding that L, they tried to shove it off on black men and say, well, the issue isn't that we're trying to pick wrong. The issue is that these black men are just secretly gay. And what we find more and more is actually it's black women engaging in LGBTQ activity, right? And substantial number actually. What did we find out? Something like 23% of black women or something like that are LGBTQ, right? And it's mainly because a third of them are bisexual, right? So once again, y'all have heard me say the internet will expose us all. I love the fact that Media Man is doing this. I love the fact that we have Obsidian doing this. We have BGS doing this. We have yours truly, Mr. Z, doing this. We have Art of Immore. Shout out to Art of Immore out of the Carolinas doing this. And just protecting our image. This is once again not about defecating on black women. It is about protecting black men's image. Now, on to that, the conversation about income. What do we find? Black men, on average, earn more than not only black women, which we already knew, although they keep on speaking about it in the black community like it's not a thing. It's a thing, right? Black men also earn more than Hispanic women and Hispanic men, or Latino men and Latina women, right? And yet Latino men still have a higher marriage rate than black men. And Latina women still have a higher marriage rate than black women. So if black women are saying, well, y'all got to pay the cost to be the boss and y'all don't have no money, then why are Latinos getting married more than Latinos are getting married more than black men, and Latinas are getting married more than black women? If it's really about the money, and black men earn more money than Latinas and Latinos, right? Something that also needs to be emphasized, right? And I recently found out about this. I didn't know this before. Is that not only are black straight men more married than black straight women, which that I did know. Same-sex loving black men are more married than same-sex loving black women. Now we already know about the DV rates in black same-sex loving relationships, right? We already know about that. We've made mention of that both on this channel and in other on other channels in the Black Manosphere. But it is telling to see that Black women aren't even marrying each other in sex-loving relationships as much as Black loving relationships are marrying each other. I would love to know what Juicy and T Noir and Khadijah and FD Signifier and Consciously and Foreign Man in a Foreign Land and Kim Foster and Juicy and all the Black lefties have to say about that. If it's really that Black men are so goddamn horrible, then why are Black men marrying Black men more than Black women are marrying Black women? Even though there's more same-sex loving Black women than there are same-sex loving Black men. Something to think about, right? Something to think about, you know? Because all it's been a constant drumbeat for the past 4 and 5 decades of how horrible Black men are. Absolutely atrocious. Black men are the worst thing in the world. Defective males, right? What did I say to FD Signifier? Black boys are raised like they're defective white boys and defective Black girls at the same time, right? You'll never have the power, the prestige, the wealth, and the manhood and masculinity of white men, and you'll never have the humanitarian spirit, right? The morality, the consciousness of black girls and Black women. So you're just defective, right? And what we're finding is much of this, once again, is projection. That's why my title is Projection Propaganda, right? Projection propaganda. Everything from HIV rates to DV rates for same-sex loving Black women compared to same-sex loving Black men, to who has more children in the Black community, right? To who have more children outside from non-Black people outside of marriage. All of that has been projection for decades. Now y'all see why Mr. Z says the internet will expose us all. Don't worry. Eventually, Chrissy's just going to come out and say it. You Black men just won't bow. That's the problem. Just kiss our ass and pay us to do it. Right? That's the just bow, kiss Black women's ass and pay us to kiss our ass. Eventually, she's going to have to come out and say it, because one by one, we're knocking down all of those BS stereotypes. All of them. Eventually, she's just going to have to say, I just want to be a upper middle class or rich white woman, and you Black men are too poor to do it. Even though I realize that white men can't give me, in majority, the lifestyle I'm looking for either. But at least they white. Oh yeah, we got to put all these anti-Black male advocates, we're going to put their back to the wall. Eventually, they're just going to have to come out and say it. Bow down to the gynocracy. And some of them will admit it, the Shira Sevens of them and all of that. They'll admit that's what they're on. Some of them will admit it, right? But eventually, they're going to have to just come out and say it, because y'all looking real foolish right now. As I said, you knew they was on some BS with that Business Insider article that straight up said these Black women are trying to date outside the race in college, and they getting their heads sniped by these white boys. And Chrissy did her level best to avoid that part of the article. So did Crystalline Karazin. So did Themis. All of those women over there that covered that article, they did their very best to ignore that part, to dance around it. And there you go. Y'all are being the disingenuous people we always thought you were. They are who we thought they were. Right? So this is why I'm covering this. Once again, shout out to Media Man for bringing the data and backing us up with the data. And like I said, every once in a while, they'll slip up and say something. They'll have a Freudian slip. What did Chrissy say? Getting black men is easy. It's just that they're insufferable when you get them. Oh, yeah, exactly. That's what we thought. You slipped up. You slipped up. Just call a thing a thing. Black women should run the train tracks, train tracks, train tracks. Black women should run the black community. So bow to us and pay us a whole lot to bow to us. Right? So that's all that is. Like I said, every once in a while they'll slip up. What is Yanni telling y'all? I want to be a kept woman of leisure. There's no point in getting married if I can't be a kept woman of leisure. Lady, you earn 6 figures. I don't know who you're gonna end up with. You better. I'm sorry, dear African brothers. I know y'all feel like I keep on throwing y'all under the bus for this, but y'all know it's true. Go, dear Yanni, go find you one of these lame ass Nigerian brothers that's gonna pay your way through life, right? So you could be married to him and still divorce his ass in 10 years, right? Shout out to all you Nigerian brothers who think she really gonna get down with your program, and you find yourself in divorce court in 10 to 15 years. You're bad, right? You paid her way through life and she still divorced your ass. You were a 6-figure man y'all entire relationship and she still divorced your ass. What you thought? Oh, you thought black men and black American men were weak. You thought they didn't know what they were talking about. You thought they were soft. You thought they were complaining about black women because they don't want to step up to the plate. Oh, look at you finding out the hard way. Right? Look at you finding out the hard way. Right? So what else we got that Media Man covered? Shout out to that brother. Um the stay-at-home fathers, right? The stay-at-home fathers. So what we find out is how many white men are stay-at-home fathers. Shout out to Media Man for calling it out for what it is. Shout out to all you divestors. Y'all don't really know what y'all signing up for. Y'all just talking. Right? And we already know this, like we already went through, and shout out to Obsidian. We already go through all these black women talking all this crap about black men and black men not being on their level. All these celebrity black women, and then when we see them with a white dude, it's a white dude they paying their way through life. Lonnie Love, Chili, name them. Halle Berry, you find all that selling out they were doing about black men not being on their level, black men being abusive, black men this, black men that, and then when they get with the white dude, they're the one funding the white dude. They earn significantly more than the white dude. They're more famous than the white dude, right? And I'm not mentioning Gabby Sidibe because Gabby Sidibe, from my understanding, hasn't really talked crap about black men. But once again, she's funding her husband. She's the famous one, right? She's the famous one. She's the one with the money. Right? Serena Williams out earns her man. White husband, once again. So apparently black women don't have a problem being the primary breadwinner if it's a white man. Right? Same thing with Aisha Taylor, right? Name them. a white woman. Oh damn. Right. So all of this in on their black ex-wives. Right. What about that? Uh oh. Right. So something I found really interesting, and I'm gonna put a slight caveat on it and say, based off of the internet, although I wouldn't disagree with her in real life either, but I'm gonna say based off of the internet, and Media Man covers the sister, what's her name? Art Kathy? Art Kathy, and that was the young lady that he covered at the 46.5 minute mark. So 46 minutes and 30 seconds mark. That's it. 80% of black women don't like black men, right? That young lady that Medium Man covered, and she went into, detail of why she thinks this and believe this. And no matter she go on the internet, it's always black women talking, crazy about black men. I can't really disagree with her. We see that especially online, right? Especially on these internet streets. Black women talking real reckless about black men. Once again, all of the neo-Nazi type language. Black women saying they get off on seeing racist white cops manhandle black men. Black women talking about aborting black male sons in the womb, right? Black women talking to racist white cops, right? All of that. Once again, right? So I I see where she's coming from. I can't necessarily say I disagree, right? As I've said, shout out to the nameless protagonist for giving us the concept of the hive model, because it really is, I am queen bee. You must work for me, work until you die, kiss my ass, and I'll humor you with talks of you being the patriarch, and you're the leader of the family. Meanwhile, really I am, and we both know it, right? Really, what this is black women throwing a fit, because once again they can't have black men the way they want them, which is subservient with pride that you are, right? And Trell Bentley says, I was just telling my 70-year-old mother how women talk reckless nowadays, how they view marriage as slavery. She was shocked. They view marriage, and there's nothing wrong with that. Once again, we live in a free country, right? If black women view marriage as slavery, there is nothing wrong with that. But what we need to make sure as black men is that she does not get attached to your wallet. If you feel like marriage is slavery, I feel like spending money on you unnecessarily is also slavery. And so you could be free and liberated over there, away from my wallet, and away from all black men's wallet. Go live off of some white dude, go live off of some Latino dude, or any Asian dude that's interested in black women. You could go do that over there. How fascinating that you view marriage as slavery, and yet how many of you are with white dudes? Y'all paying their way through life. Yikes. Right? Marriage is slavery because you might have to wash the dishes or two, mop a floor once in a while, fold some sheets and some clothes, and that's slavery. Oh, I get it. You can do exactly what you want to do, exactly how you want to do it all the time. So that's bondage. You're right, right? You have to be considerate, as the young lady said on figuring ish out. You have to be considerate of the opposite party. That's the problem. That's bondage to you. Being in a marriage where you have to be considerate of the other person and their wants and needs, right? Right. And y'all give me a second. Let me pause right here. Give me 1 second, y'all. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. And I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. And Earth says it's oppression when you don't worship me. But for real though, I gotta ask BGS archive, but BGS had a clip of black women speaking. I want to say it was somewhere in the 60s or 70s, about the Moynihan report, and it was a group of black women, and it made, I want to say, maybe five, six, or seven black women. And excuse my background because somebody want to make noise in the garage. Of course they do. Um, but yeah, so it's about. Oh, here we go. Here go the noise. Here, wait a minute, y'all. All right, so we're out of the noise. All right, so yeah, a group of maybe five, six, or seven black women, and the two lighter skinned black women, you could see that their real issue with the Moynihan report was the concept that matriarchy in the black community was a problem, right? I want to be very clear. They didn't disagree that it was. They said that it was a problem. What's going on, right? So that was the major issue, right? And that is, I would argue, that is what we're dealing with now. What's wrong with, and you kind of got a little bit of that with the conversation with FD Signifier, right, on Bernard Riley's channel, right? The second time he showed up, which is, I mean, like, is there's nothing inherently wrong with it. Except the women don't want to accept the responsibility if they're going to be the leaders of the black community, the responsibility of why the black community is the way it is. Oops. Y'all give me a second. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. Give me 1 second, Trail. I'm gonna read that comment because I actually agree. All right, everybody, we are back. We are back. And Trail says, for my sanity, I limit my engagement to what Z presents. Right. So and I think when I really understood my tolerance for this was it's two people really. It was Ed. No, actually three. Actually four. Goddamn, Mr. Z. How you sound? It was Ed, PK, right? BGS, and I'm forgetting someone. Who else was it? And who else sits? Oh yeah, and Charles. That's when I realized, like, wait, oh, I'm the only one, or that's really listening to the crazies, right? And like PK would have get out of there, Z, like, right? Be careful for your mental sanity, right? And and Trell, thank you for the super chat. And Trell says for Z's therapy. And I realized that I had a higher tolerance for the BS because I don't know why I always thought they thought like this anyway. I don't know what, like, I've talked myself out of a whole lot of vagina. And it wasn't like talking myself out of the vagina because I was socially awkward or like some geek, some weirdo. Like, no, because I'm like, like I've said before, when a woman says something, you're like, yeah, I can't let that one slide. I just can't. Right? My soul can't let that one slide. And so in college, I had, of course, I did my thing in college, but I had these type of conversations, not to this level, but I understood the contempt that was there. I understood the daddy issues. I understood the feeling of childhood rejection. I understood the anger and the resentment of like I'm not seeing the way the cute light skinned girl is seen, or the way the white woman is seen, or the Latina is seen. And I understood what that was. I could hear it, I could see it, I could smell it, right? So, you know, coming into the black manosphere and being exposed to these women being even more overt on the internet because they feel a sense of anonymity, it only proved what I was thinking to be even more true, right? And by the time you have, the Cynthia G's of the world talking about abort black male sons, and you have, the Crystalline Karazins speaking about how much better, non-black men, specifically white men, are to black women, and when you have that, and when you have Paris Milan saying Kentanji chose better, Serena chose better, Eve chose better, and when women are like, it's not a surprise to me. I already know y'all thought like that. Meanwhile, Paris got a whole Nigerian husband, but fine, okay, right? So when I came across the divestors and the swirlers, it wasn't a shock to me that they thought the way they thought. First of all, I understand what country we live in, right? And how it's not just non-black people that are encouraged to be anti-black, but it's black people that are also encouraged to be anti-black. That includes black women. And the my gripe is with the rest of the black community that continues to speak about black women like the way they exhibit their anti-blackness is internal. They look in the mirror and poke at themselves. And I'm not saying that's not happening. I'm not saying that black women don't look in the mirror and don't like what they see. I'm also saying that black women also exhibit anti-blackness externally, and not only towards other black women, but towards black men also. That's what I'm saying, right? If we're all socialized in anti-blackness, then how do we give black women the moral high ground and says, yeah, but theirs is just a bit less toxic. And when we say a bit, we mean a whole lot, right? Why do we make this assumption that black women somehow almost inherently are less anti-black than black men are? And if they are anti-black, they levy that anti-blackness onto black women, not onto black children, not onto black boys, right? Not onto black men, but they levy that only to black women and onto themselves. Like, that's not true, right? And the question then becomes for everyone, right? For everyone in the black community, all the talking heads, all the pundits, the question then becomes, what does anti-blackness look like when black women engage in it? To all of them. When black women engage in anti-blackness directed towards black men specifically, what does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it smell like? And what we saw on Medium Man's channel is what it looks like, what it smells like. It's a whole lot of projection. It's a whole lot of projection, right? It's calling black men LGBTQ when black women are the most LGBTQ people in the country, right? It's speaking about black women like they're carrying all the weight in the black community because they're the most entrepreneurial, factually inaccurate. They're the most loyal, factually inaccurate. Just because the white racist dude is too damn racist to marry you, even though he'll have sex with you, does not mean you're more loyal. Just because the Latino dude will do the same, once again, have sex with you, even though he won't marry you, does not mean you're more loyal. That means they're racist and you're delusional. That part, right? So it wasn't a. That's why I have maybe a tougher skin on this, because it just makes sense to me. Like, okay, yeah, black women are engaging in anti-blackness because they're frustrated and they're angry that they're not upper middle class and rich and elite white women. Okay, nothing to see here, right? Right. And our society gives them the tools to use against black men. Not saying they're not eager to use those tools, but our society gives them those tools. All right. Our society encourages the anti-blackness. Right. And hopefully you guys can still hear me. I am in a part of town that's bit of a bit of a dead zone, maybe. Right. So y'all give me 1 second. Everyone give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can fit in here. This guy decided to park in the most inconvenient place possible because he doesn't care. But that's okay. We're still gonna make it work. All right. Right. So once again, shout out to Medium Man for covering this. Great, great job. Let's see what else we have because Mr. Z had notes. Right. Mr. Z had notes. Okay. Right. So another thing I wanted to emphasize with this conversation is your freedom comes at a cost. And what black women are dealing with is the cost of their supposed freedom from black men. Their supposed freedom from what black men think and feel and not having to consider what black men think and feel. Black women, you're dealing with that. That's the cost. The cost is maybe you don't eat. The cost is maybe you don't feel protected. The cost is maybe you engage in same-sex loving relationships. The cost is maybe you enter the shark and oh man, I went dark. I know I went dark. Y'all couldn't hear me for a second. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I know y'all couldn't hear me for a second. So I was speaking about the cost of being free from black men. And the cost may be that you engage in some same-sex loving relationships. The cost is maybe you are have to go in into the shark infested waters that is dating interracially, potentially trying to get married interracially. That's the cost, right? The cost is that you never get married, or even if you want to call it air quotes partnering, right? You don't even get to partner because you don't want to consider what the opposite sex thinks, what black men think, right? How black men feel. You want to be liberated from black men. Well, how's that working for you? You are. Now, of course, outside of the black community, all non-black people just see black people as black. All this, no, we're not like black men. Yeah, not Latinos ain't hearing it. White folks ain't hearing it. Asians ain't hearing it. Arabs ain't hearing it. Right? But fine, you don't have to consider what black men think or feel. Fine. And how that's looking for you. Right? How is that looking for you? And better use is, did you see O'Shea video with the crazy divester chick earlier today? Well, I guess we know what Mr. Z's covering tomorrow morning, right? I guess we know what Mr. Z is covering tomorrow morning. No, I have not. Right. So once again, let's once again let's shout out Media Man and let's cover what and I want to go through that whole video. I already found it. I'm gonna listen to it tonight. Um, the sister, I guess her name is Art Kathy. And her saying she feels like 80% of black women hate black men, right? Or at least dislike black men. I think those were her words. If I remember correctly, I think that was something like those words. Don't like black men or dislike black men. And there's nothing wrong with that. Dear black women, nobody's telling you you gotta love black men or like black men. You don't have to. You just got to let me know how that's working for the vast majority of black women. Excuse me. If a substantial number of black women have contempt for black men, that's okay. How is that working for black women? Right? How is that working? Right? Bisexual. Bisexual. Right? Translation. I'm in this same sex loving relationship until the ballerific white dude or black dude scoops me up. Okay, thank you, better. Y'all see it. Right? Hmm. Black men are secretly gay until we actually look at the numbers and see who's actually LGBTQ in the black community. Black men are the most disloyal until we see who's really having children out of wedlock from non-black people. Uh-oh. Black men are spreading diseases until we look through the data and see who actually has HIV and some of these more sexually transmitted diseases. Calvin, you couldn't say it better. And Calvin says bisexual as in purchased, right? Not bisexual as in into both sexes. No, bisexual as in purchase sexual. I love it. Right. And for the black women that's engaging in this and you're attempting to play the moral high ground, that moral high ground, that podium is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. You holding on by pinky right now. You done fell off. You only holding on by pinky, like on a cartoon when they hold it on to the edge of the cliff by their fingers. You're only holding on by one pinky right now. You have nothing left. I said it the other day. Harry Medium Man comes in and backs up Mr. Z. Y'all already shot all your nukes. And Medium Man is a military brother too. Medium Man tell me I'm lying. They already the black women that are engaging in this back and forth with black men, particularly on this internet, right? When they say on Beyonce's internet, y'all shot all your nukes already. Y'all brought in all the old stereotypes from the 80s and 90s. Then you remixed it and added in, abort black male sons and added in new phraseology like dusty and pick me's to black women that actually love black men and talk about loving black men, right? You shot all your nukes already. Now what? Now what? You know? And as the young lady said, as art what is her full name? Let's make sure we get it right because Art Kathy. Let's make sure we get her name right. As Art Kathy said, like y'all really don't like us anyway. And if she is correct, then deal with the consequences of not liking black men. Be that supposed rich auntie, right? Be the 48-year-old, 52-year-old stable auntie that's calling yourself the rich auntie that got the 23, 24-year-old brother that works in the file room coming through and knocking the cobwebs out once every other week. Because if you didn't know, that's probably what your air quotes rich auntie, stable auntie, is engaging in. right? Or she's 52 and the 65-year-old is sliding through. And that's why she got a couple of dollars to help you buy that laptop when you go away for college. Right? So either she's buying a PlayStation 5 or she's doing some strange things for some change things to buy you a PlayStation 5. Right? But if 80% of black women don't like black men, or at least a heavy percent of black women on that are serious social media heads. These are the people that got their cell phones surgically attached to their hand and they're always on TikTok or IG or YouTube, kind of like Mr. Z. But if 80% of those women don't like black men, all right then. Nothing saying that you should. You don't have to. But there are consequences on the other end of that, right? There are consequences on the other end of that. And I'm glad that Media Man went through withering detail. Because if Rebecca Lynn Pope is going to continue, and like I said, she said something similar, what, late, sometime last year, maybe early this year, I can't really remember the exact time, but she said something similar before, like, black women are just outpacing black men. And then she's telling you what, a third of the black men she saw in the gym were gay? A third? And shout out to Media Man for covering it. Like, I was like, well, she is in Atlanta, but a third? First of all, did you walk up to those black men and say, "Hey, by the way, are you same-sex loving? Are you part of the LGBTQ community? Do you have a rainbow flag, sticker or rainbow flag hanging from your rearview mirror in your car?" Did you ask them? I know you didn't. That's number one. Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. I know you didn't. But number two, like the young lady said, black women are like the most homophobic. They always imply that straight black men are LGBTQ, especially if that straight black man take care of himself, cares about how he dresses, right? What he wears, especially and most definitely if he's not attracted to her specifically. Oh, nobody's more same-sex loving than a black man who's not attracted to a specific black woman, right? If you don't find a specific black woman attractive or a specific look, then somewhere, somehow, somebody's implying that you're same-sex loving. That's at the heavy end. On the light end, they'll just say you don't like black women. You probably into white women. Ask Mr. Z how he know that one. Ask Mr. Z how he knows that one. Ain't never touched a white woman in my life, but since Mr. Z was a kid, oh, he probably like white girls, right? No, you. Oh, I was about to get into my Cat Williams bag. No, you simple B. No, I just don't find you attractive. I'm just not into loud, obnoxious, brash, annoying, cause see your weave glue type of black women. I'm not into that. Right. But if that means that I'm not into black women, then I guess I'm not into black women like you. That doesn't mean that I'm not into black women. I only date black women. I only want to be with a black woman. But I guess if I'm not into black women like you, then that means that I'm not into black women. And that's once again on the light end. That's the lightweight insult. The heavy insult is the, oh, he gay. Right. That's always what it is, man. Oh, he's gay. Right. So I'm glad that, you know, Media Man covered that. And you're hearing that, I would argue, and maybe it's just Mr. Z, you're hearing that on the periphery, there we go. I couldn't get it out the first time. You're hearing that more on the periphery more and more. Even black gay men are starting to say that just a little bit more and more. That straight black women use LGBTQ slurs against straight black men as an insult, as a slur. Let's be very clear. They don't direct those insults particularly to gay men. They direct it to straight black men. Right? So it's a good thing that we have black women and some gay black men that are actually openly saying it now. That the first thing a black woman wants to do when she feels unsatisfied, which is like all the time, with the black man, is question his masculinity or imply that he's same-sex loving. Question his masculinity, question his manhood, and imply that he's same-sex loving. And all of that is meant to insult that man, particularly a straight black man. And part of questioning his manhood is questioning whether he's a provider or not. At the absolute highest insane level. So I'm also glad that Media Man covered the fact that black men still start more businesses, black men still have more businesses, right? Black men still earn more money as 9 to 5 workers. It is a great thing that we say that. Oh, also, weight in fitness. Black men are less obese than black women by a distance, right? It's important that we speak about this. It's great that Media Man covered this because the Rebecca Lynn Popes of the world just won't quit. On one hand, years ago, she admits that black women are delusional, their standards are insane. It causes her to stop being a matchmaker. It causes what April Ryan to stop being a matchmaker. So many of these women, they can't do it because black women just sounded. You're watching Kendra G go through it right now. You're watching Kendra G go through it right now. By the way, another woman that implies that straight black men are gay. So on one hand, once again, Rebecca Lynn Pope is honestly like these women are delusional. But then on the other hand, oh, the black women are just outpacing black men. And she literally, once again, shout out to Obsidian. She literally brings out stereotypes from the '90s. They gay, they're in jail, they're dead. Wait, what? Rebecca Lynn Pope, you got to get with the new lingo. Just call them Dusties and keep going, right? Just call black men Dusties. Oh, they're dusty and keep going. That way, you and the swirlers and divestors could clap it up in the corner over there, right? So now, once again, black women are outpacing black men. Look, shout out to the brother Edward Anderson. Then just date out Rebecca Lynn Pope. Just tell them to expand their. What's the kind and nice way they say it? We just need to expand our options, right? Right. We just need to expand our options and date out. You know, don't limit yourself, black women. That's the other kind way they say it. Don't limit yourself, black women. Be open to different opportunities, different experiences. 5 years later, 10 years later, still no wedding ring and a whole lot of mileage from non-black men, white dudes, Latino dudes. Right. I would like to direct you to Chrissy. I would like to direct you to Ostefco. Right. There's a whole lot of black women who haven't really been exclusive to black men since black men were black boys. They were interested in dating out since middle school. Now they well into their 30s, maybe even 40s, still no wedding ring, talking crap about black men. How's that working? Exactly, Lithium. And Lithium says date out, eat the box, or get therapy. There you go. Or you could do all three at the same time. These are not mutually exclusive. You could do all three at the same time, right? You could be a bisexual black woman who's dating out and seeking therapy, right? You could either be with a non-black woman or you could be with a non-black man while you're also with a woman, black, white, or otherwise, and you're seeking therapy. Nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, it's not like black women aren't engaging in it in a sizable minority anyway, right? Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And Mr. Donnie Max says black husbands have excuse me, black husbands have 500K more marriages than black wives. True. Black mothers have 1.2 million more children than black fathers. Well, we know who they having the children with. And Mr. Donnie Mac, not only that, what we found out, shout out once again to Media Man, and I think another brother said this to me before Media Man covered it, but I can't remember who it was. But I'll just give the credit to Media Man. Um, what we find out is that not only that, but even LGBTQ relationships, more black gay men are married than lesbian black women. But we're the insufferable ones, right, Chrissy? Right? Right? We're the ones who have to give incentive, right, Yanni? We're the ones who's dusty, right, Paris? Right? We're the ones that's the reason you're trying to destroy the black community, right? Cynthia G. We're the ones who think misogyny is a personality trait. Ain't that right, nappy headed hobo? We're the ones who's useless. Ain't that right, Kim Foster? By the way, everything I said and every name I attached to it said that about men, black men specifically. We're the ones who's not resilient. Ain't that right, FD signifier? Huh? Yeah. Right? Black men are the ones who's insufferable. Black men are the ones who's not resilient. Black men are the ones who's useless. Huh. Black men are the ones who see misogyny as a personality trait. Hmm. Because black men were just supposed to eat all this misandrous language because in because these people don't really consider social dominance order, right? And everything for them is intersectionality, then it's okay that black women sound the way they do because they're punching up. Don't you get it? See, black men can't engage in defending our ethnic image. Once again, rest in peace, Kevin Samuels. Once again, shout out to Medium Man. Black men can't engage in that because when we do, we're punching down to black women. See, when black women insult black men, when they belittle black men, when they question black men's masculinity or manhood or maturity, when they question black men's damn humanity, they're punching up. Don't you get it? They're punching up. First of all, black women have the moral high ground. Don't forget that. But then intersectionality informs us that black women are the most put upon. And so when they're engaging in this type of rhetoric, it's not the same as black men because black men are punching down and being abusive, right? What Kim Foster and them are now saying, black men are antagonizing black women. We didn't back them to the wall so much they have nothing left but to say that you're antagonizing them. Oh my god. They have nothing left. What we were saying, empty the clip. They don't got nothing left. Ain't no more bullets in that gun. They have no. So now you're antagonizing them. They have nothing left. Translation: they hurting my feelings. My feelings. Wow. They have nothing left. So now you're insufferable. Right? They have nothing left. So FD listen to Ebony K. Williams talk that talk and then say, yeah, black men are the ones who lack resilience. Just eat that black man. Eat decades of black women talking crazy because they can't get or keep the type of men they think they deserve. They feel they deserve. Right? You're not resilient if you don't just eat the verbal abuse. Eat the negative propaganda. If you don't eat that, then you're not resilient. Right?
If you don't break yourself for black women, then you're useless. Ain't that right, Kim Foster? If you don't just ignore black women being misandrous, then you're misogynist. Ain't that right, nappy headed hobo? Just keep on letting them put out no scrubs type of songs. Let them keep on bringing out the color purple over and over. And why is the color purple coming back on, right? Why is this a thing? Damn, they're 40 years later. But we're the misogynists, though. Let me say this again. Shout out to Medium Man. Medium Man, rest in peace, Kevin. Everybody in the black manosphere, from Sarge Willie Pete to Obsidian to Angry Man, everyone. BGS, everyone. If it wasn't for us, they would have never said anything about BLM. Never. Now they sending FD out there as some type of emissary. If it wasn't for black men, they would have never said anything about BLM. And let me be very clear, BLM, a group of LGBTQ black women who despise black men, using those same black men they look down on, which is primarily straight black men, and using their death at the hands of the state, their blood, their lives, their memories, to advance a black LGBTQ agenda. If it wasn't for the black manosphere speaking about that goddamn mission statement, that memo, and by the way, I'm talking about two different things. The memo that said, if somebody like a George Floyd walks up into one of our offices trying to talk to us about something, marginalize them, sideline them. If we're having a meeting and they're speaking about their plight, sideline them and talk about somebody that's more oppressed, right? So that was the memo. The mission statement is the one where they pretty much spoke about everything but a black nuclear family involving a man, a heterosexual black nuclear family. If it wasn't for the black manosphere, they would have never said anything about that. If it wasn't for the black manosphere, black black women that are anti-black men, that are in academia, that are all over the entertainment space, that are in politics, y'all would have never heard a brother like FD say, "Oh, I mean, okay." Y'all would have never did anything. Y'all just would have ate it forever. Now you're telling us to tone police ourselves. Nope. Right? Nope. Right? And KW Dawn says, and thank you for the super chat, Rebecca Lynn Pope is talking about starting a matchmaking service for non-black men who want to date / marry black women. That would be a, well, a ish show, we'll say that, a ish show and a failed business venture. I want her to start it. I want her to start it. Oh, Mr. Z wants her to start it. Oh, you know what, Rebecca Lynn Pope, I'll put 100 on it, right? I'll put 100 on it right now. I will put 100 on it right now. I want her to start that. I want her to start it because I want the white men to tell black women how they want black women to show up. And essentially, they're going to want black women to be chocolate dipped white women. Right? Oh, I want non-black men to be honest about how they see black women. Because if black men are so horrible, black men are the worst thing in relation. How they talk about black men are so dangerous. Black men are horrible for black women. We're the worst thing that ever happened to black women. Then I would love to see non-black men tell black women how they want black women to show up. Either they want you to be exaggerated and click off every negative stereotype humanly possible because that turns them on and they just want to do some strange things with you, or they essentially want you to not be you'll be phenotypically a black woman and that's about it, right? Literally a chocolate dip white woman. They want you to have the sensibilities of a white woman. They just want something chocolate. No, Rebecca Lynn Pope need to start that. Oh yeah, let's start that. Put it on camera too. Oh yeah, put that on camera. And not even that. I want to see what black. I want to see black women talking about non-black men. Oh, Mr. Z will do a review every damn day on this show, right? That's going to be fascinating to hear how horrible black men are, and then you're going to have regular white dudes, regular white dudes, and watching black women cop pleas for regular white dudes trying to date black women who are looking for ballers. Oh, regular 45, 50, 55, $60,000 a year white dudes. And the same black woman that tried to give you a black tax and say, yeah, you got to come to the table with at least 80 grand a year, $100,000 a year, 120 a year. It's going to be fascinating to watch those black women be perfectly okay with Bob that works at Jiffy Lube making 50, making 45. Right? And Global Free Agent says, and I'm actually going to address this. Global Free Agent says, and I got to find the video because I've I've found it twice, and I don't know if I ever saved it. And maybe some of y'all will know what I'm talking about in a minute. And Global Free Agent, thank you for the super chat. And Global Free Agent says, Mr. Z, check this out. I'm currently on vacation in Sweden. Shout out to you and your vacation. And he says, way more black women with white men here than the other way around. Sunny at 4:30 a.m. Wow, it's sunny at 4:30 a.m. Goddamn. All right. There is a video, and I want to say it's more recent on the internet, and it's of an Australian white dude speaking about um dating outside of his race and all that other stuff. And he says he finds Latina women attractive, he finds black women attractive, but his issue with black American women, and he said he understands it, how much black American women had, they have this certain culture, excuse me, and he doesn't want to call it ghetto or loud culture, but they have this certain culture that to protect themselves against white supremacy in America or racism. I don't even think he said white supremacy or like anti-blackness, however he couched it. And so he wouldn't necessarily be interested in black American women, but he does find black women attractive. So and this is why you find, I would argue, this is why you find white men are more likely to marry. And by the way, to all my African and Caribbean sisters, I'm about to throw y'all all the way under the bus. This is why when they do marry out, you see that they're more likely to marry non-black American women. I know we want to say here that it's because black American women are loud and brash, and I'm not saying you're 100% wrong. I am saying you have to also factor in they don't want black women that have a black consciousness. And I know some of y'all are gonna cringe, and that's not what y'all want to hear. Mr. Z gotta say it how I gotta say it. They like the skin color. They like the skin tone. They don't like someone that actually has anything black about them, right? They'll partake in some Igbo culture and do a little two-step in the cultural dance, a little Yoruba culture, a little Zulu culture, but they don't actually want a black woman that has any black consciousness. These are the type of white dudes that turn the TV off when they start talking about George Floyd or Trayvon Martin or something, or even Martin Luther King or Malcolm X. These dudes will live on Fox News and have a black wife, right, of Caribbean descent, who has to have her black moments with a handful of other black homegirls who also have white boyfriends and husbands. Don't forget that who was it that covered that years ago? Was it Chrissy or was it Tariq Nasheed that covered that years ago? A black woman, writing what kind of an open letter on the internet. She has a black excuse me, she has a white boyfriend and two or three of her homegirls. They meet up every once in a while to kind of vent about the racial stuff that they dealing with these men. So yeah, I'm not surprised that you in Sweden and the white dudes are cuffed up with black women who probably are of African descent, right? And then we got to remember too, like certain continental African sisters, like they want to be white, bro. They want to be white. They want to be white, right? And if the online, I mean, we literally have African sisters now that are so bold. We've seen those memes, right? With the African sister have two or three kids. I need a white man to come and save me. And other, like, that's not the only one. There's other pictures of black women saying, I need a white man, no kids, be a good wife, blah blah blah. They didn't see it. And let's be very clear, they didn't say I need a westerner. They didn't say I need a man with money, right? They didn't say I need an American, I need a British guy, I need a Canadian, I need an Australian. They didn't say none of that. They said a white man, right? They said a white man. So that lets you know what they on, right? And so once again, thank you for the super chat, Global Free Agent. But yeah, that's not shocking to me, right? We know what they about, right? And Global Free Agent also says you're very correct about the black mindset. The black women here present as European in their behavior. I mean, if they grew up there, we got to make space. That's somewhat understandable. But also, let's add on to that, right? Let's put a caveat to that. Um, they see white womanhood as the ultimate womanhood. That's what we just. That's what we're finding out more and more based off these online dating statistics. Once again, it's not men of color that covet white women. It's women of color that covet white men. They want white patriarchy because they want white men to bestow onto them white womanhood and everything but skin color. So of course, if you're in Europe, Sweden of all countries, like how do you get whiter than Sweden? What country's whiter than Sweden? Right? So yeah. So if they see white womanhood as the most ideal form of femininity and womanhood, then of course they're going to imitate that. They're going to comport themselves accordingly. Michael Ross says Germany. Are you sure Germany? With all those immigrants they just bought in? Are you sure? Right? Finland? Yeah, that's possible. Definitely Finland. Possible. Yes. Right? Right? So, you know, if Rebecca Lynn Pope is going to speak the way she's speaking now, then of course people like Mr. Z is going to respond. Um, Once again, shout out to Media Man and his response, right? But this can't keep on going. And like, so Rebecca Lynn Pope gets to say what she says, and then you got to ask yourself, then what do people like FD Signifier want black men to do with that? Because for the longest, black men were like, okay, yeah, okay, whatever, they're talking, but whatever. Or white media wouldn't give us a microphone to respond. Now we have the internet, and the internet has democratized the town square, so black men can respond now. But the FDs of the world for decades just told us to just eat that, just ignore it. And now your daughters are talking about aborting black male sons. Rebecca Lynn Pope is super lightweight in her critique, in her criticism. That's super lightweight. We're not even in Nazi land yet. Right? But Rebecca Lynn Pope, especially considering her age, of course she sounded like she fell out the 90s with her critique. But her mindset is how you eventually get to Crystalline and Karazin, and then how you eventually get to Chrissy, and then how you eventually get to Yanni and Paris, and then Cynthia G. And then Shira 7. And then the women on Clubhouse talking about being sexually turned on by watching black men get abused. Right? You go from Rebecca Lynn Pope, and in a couple decades, you end up where Cynthia G is in Dachau or Auschwitz. You end up in a gas chamber. You end up in a mass grave. Right? That's why, once again, I'll keep on saying Mr. Z is careful on his rhetoric when I'm critiquing the way some of these black women sound, particularly on the internet, particularly on social media. I'm very careful how I say this. The rest of these people, they want to show allegiance and fealty to the sisterhood and talk all type of crazy, and then when they meet a Cynthia G, oh my god, oh my god, she said what? You don't understand how you helped to give rise to that? You don't understand how you helped to give rise to that. You don't understand how you contributed to that. No? Okay. Then everybody want to start copping please when Cynthia G walk in the room. When Shira 7 walk in the room. Y'all talking about manifesting and all of this, and then when Shira 7 walk in the room, everybody's like, oh my god, what is she saying? Wait, what you thought you were doing? Chrissy gets mad at Sarge Willie Pete and Obsidian, wage whole jihad against black men, and then Cynthia G walk in the room, and then now she gotta start reeling it back. She gets mad at BGS. She gets mad at Sarge Willie Pete. She gets mad at Obsidian. She wages jihad on black men with her arrogant ass. And now Cynthia G done walked in the room, and now Zach, Zach, I need you to record this so I can tell black women, they can't sound like these loud divestors. You help to make them sound like that, Chrissy. Crystal and Kara's in us. Oh my God, we're talking about aborting black male sons. You help to bring Cynthia G about, Crystal and Karazin. What y'all thought? Crystal and Karazin over here looking like a drunk auntie, right? All of these people. So once again, Rebecca Lynn Pope, I guess she's showing that she ain't lose her her sister girl card, excuse me, and that's fine. That's fine. That's okay. Maybe she doesn't realize we're not in the 90s anymore, and you're gonna get a response, and a swift one, and a swift one, and a heavy one. We're not in the 90s anymore. You don't just get to defecate on black men and then walk away, right? But Z, she's just stating facts, right? She's just stating facts. Exactly, Calvin. Dr. Frankenstein, no like her monster? Yeah. Doesn't like her monster. All of these boomers and Xers that created these weirdos, these spoiled brat, angry, millennial, younger Xer, and Gen Z women, now they copping please. Oh my God, these women sound like this? Yeah, you raised them. What you thought? All the times you were talking crap about their dad, what you thought? All the times you were talking crap about black men, and then your white boss called you and you put on the interview voice and the sweet voice, and then now you wonder why your daughter's the bust down for a white dude? What did you think? Right? Wait a minute. So you divorced their father, you playing two, three black men at a time. Your daughter know that. You hiding money here, you're moving money there. Hey, don't tell your dad I got this much money. Don't tell your dad this. Go get some extra money from your dad. You playing all these games, but then when your white boss calls up, or when you're in the store and you're passing a white person or whatever, you got the sweet interview voice. Now you wondering why your daughter, she don't date black dudes, and every other day she's messing around with a new white guy. What do you think? What you thought was gonna happen? You talking crap about black men, and now your son doesn't date black women. Your son might not even date women at all. What you thought? So once again, shout out to Media Man for this, covering this topic and going through it bit by bit, right? Systematically going point by point by point. Shout out to Media Man for that. And I'm with him about protecting black men's ethnic image. I'm with him on that. And I look, Mr. Z, side note, more personal. Mr. Z reminds his mom all the time, and my mom was not engaging in this type of behavior, but I remind her all the time it was her generation. Whenever Mr. Z, Mama Z, whenever Mama Z hears some weirdo stuff, and she's like, "Oh my God," I'm like, "Yeah, your generation is the one who raised them, right?" All that craziness y'all used to be talking in the hair salon with your daughters and your sons there, now you see why your daughters sound like that. What y'all thought was going to happen 20 years later, 30 years later, right? Now let's go through it. Now your daughters are in their 40s, 30s, not married. No, and not only just not married, you know they never going to get married. Let's be very clear. And they don't have no children. And it's very possible they'll never have children. They're Ebony K. Williams. Not only can they not make it work with a black man, they can't make it work with a white man. They can't make it work with any man because they're the ones who's insufferable. Dear Chrissy, 500 plus thousand more marriages than black women says that black men aren't the insufferable ones. Gay black men being more married than lesbian black women says black men aren't the ones that's the insufferable ones. Maybe you should have chose another word. Right? Maybe you should have chose another word. Dear Kim Foster, 500 plus thousand more marriages says that maybe black men aren't the ones that's the useless ones. Hmm. Maybe black men aren't useless. Maybe black men in the black manosphere aren't useless. I'm only using the word you used, right? 500 plus more marriages. Maybe black men aren't the ones that lack resilience, FD signifier. Maybe black men aren't the ones that lack resilience. 500 plus thousand more marriages. Maybe the issue isn't black men's misogyny, but black women's misandry. T Nor, I'm not T Nor, T Nor, not you, not you, not you. Nappy headed hobo, there we go. Right? T Nor over here catching strays. She like, what did I do? Not you, not you. Right? Nappy headed hobo really said men that use misogyny as a personality, or they think misogyny is like a personality, trait or something like that. Huh. So once again, the crew has women coming on all the time, talking all type of crazy, and nobody sees that. But the second the men start talking, it's all time. He's misogynist. He's sexist. So let me get nappy head home, but let me get this right. You don't watch none of this type of content. Cool. You don't watch it. But then when Dr. Umar comes on and chastises the brothers, oh, you watch this one though, and you actually can't believe you agree with Dr. Umar. Now, will you look at that? Right? Now, will you look at that? Exactly, Indigo. And Indigo says more projection. Exactly. Right? And I listen to Nappy Headed Hoba. But once again, hey, you gotta, spit out the bones with this type of stuff because some of these people you listen to and they have great takes on a whole bunch of stuff. But once we start talking black men, black women, heterosexual relationships, all of their wisdom, all of their knowledge, it goes out the window. because they just can't see what black men are talking about. Because we're the sexist ones. Yeah, that's it. We're the homophobic ones. We're the misogynists. Yeah, that's it. Hmm. Hmm. Put a put a microphone in front of your average black woman, and then tell us we're the misogynists after the fact. Put a microphone in front of your average black woman. Ask her about what she thinks about black men and relationships, and then call us misogynists after she answers that question. Indigo says, I can't believe I agree with Dr. Umar. We can, right? This whole Dr. Umar Johnson, Ebony K. Williams thing, it exposed a whole lot of people that y'all thought were diametrically opposed. Maybe they not. Maybe they're not. Absolutely fascinating. So Dr. Umar pretends like he disagrees with Ebony K. Williams when he records himself standing on the sidewalk, right? And then now he's on the crew and he essentially is saying he does agree with her. He's saying he does agree with her. Like I keep on saying, let them talk. Let people talk long enough. Let people talk long enough. They'll tell you what it really is. And like I told you, go back and listen to Jason Black covering Ebony K. Williams and see how much he actually disagreed with her. He says something very telling in the beginning of him covering the topic, right? How much does he actually disagree with her? Or does he disagree with her tone, right? Does he disagree with her tone? Does he disagree with her deliverance? Does he disagree with the angle that she was coming at it from? Does he really disagree with her? Right? There's a whole lot of people y'all think are diametrically opposed, but when it comes to putting black men in their place, when it comes to air quotes critiquing black men, they're not as they don't disagree as much as you think they do. When it comes down to telling black men what they're lacking, how they slipping, a lot of these people don't disagree as much as you think they do. They're not as opposed as you think they are, right? So once again, shout out to Media Man for covering this. Shout out to the young lady who pretty much to the young lady who pretty much said the truth. Hey, black women are the homophobic ones. Shout out to the other young lady who said, yeah, like 80% of them don't like black men. All right. And I see what you're doing over there, Media Man. I caught it. I'm glad you actually said that's what you're doing. And he shows women saying the real, black women saying the real. He makes sure to go out of his way to show that black women are the ones covering these topics. The doctors that he had speaking about um HIV, the other ones that he had speaking about LGBTQ activity, all of that. The black women he showed once again, that's it. Like 80% of black women don't like black men. The black women he showed that pretty much called black women out for their homophobia, right? So Media Man did a great job. I'll pause right there. I'm coming up on 2 hours. Y'all know y'all have a great rest of y'all night. Like, share, subscribe. Hit the thank you button for the replay squad. Um, and yeah, I wanted to cover this. And I'm gonna check out the other videos. I know Better You wanted me to check out something from O'Shea. I'm gonna give that a look. Um, yeah, right. But I definitely have to cover this. And I agree with with media, man, we got to protect our image. In a weird way, it's like protect our image from foreign and domestic, right? From non-black people and from black people, and that includes some black men, but namely black women who are just, you know, particularly on the internet, waging this war against black men and their image. And I will maintain most of this is about who doesn't find them attractive, who didn't want them in middle school and high school, or even as adults, who they think they should qualify for, who's just not interested in them. I maintain a lot of this is like Edward Anderson says, sexual politicking. Yeah, a lot of this is really that. It really has nothing to do with anything else than I want to have sex with this type of man, but I want to marry that type of man. Or why doesn't this type of man find me attractive? Or when I was 16 years old, the boys that I found attractive didn't find me attractive. A lot of this has to do with that, right? And so we'll truly pause right there. Once again, shout out to Media Man. Y'all have a great rest of your night. Love, peace, and chicken grease. We'll pause right here. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. All right, y'all. Have a great rest of y'all night. Mr. Z out.